welcome back to Amanda Harwood Holistic. Thanks for joining me today. If you're new, welcome. And if you're returning, thank you very much for coming back to see my video for July 2024. I hope you all had a great June. I hope there was nothing too testing in your month, and I look forward to endeavoring to give you good news about July. We'll see what's happening. Okay, so before we start today, I just want to say that this is a generic reading for a lot of people. So if it doesn't resonate with you, just stop the video and go about your day. There are plenty of tarot readers out there on YouTube, so I'm sure you'll find one that you resonate with. If you do resonate with it, then I would love to hear your comments or your feedback in the comments below or in the comments on my YouTube channel, depending on where you're watching this from. The card sets that we're using today are, of course, the Wandering Star Tarot by Kat Pierce. It's my favorite tarot deck at the moment. And then the other cards that we'll be drawing later on are the Seed and Sickle Oracle deck by Fez Inkwright. Another beautifully illustrated deck. So let's get going. Okay, so looking at the cards that I've drawn for July, I'm seeing that it's a lot of suit cards, a lot of wands and a lot of swords. And that means that we're most probably going to be getting lots of ideas through. There's going to be a lot of stuff to do with your passions, your motivations, what gets you fired up, basically. And I can see that it's going to be quite a, for want of a better word, quite a mundane month. So dealing with the little things, the real life things, rather than big sweeping changes that come through and totally change your life. We have one major arcana card in the layout, and that is at the beginning of the overview. And this card tells me that this month is most probably going to be quite spiritually aligned, as has been a lot of the months that we've read for so far, because I think that's what this year is. It's about getting our shit together, basically, spiritually and emotionally and mentally and physically, bringing all of our body into one balanced being, basically, if you can do that. I know there's always that push and pull of trying to keep your balance, but I feel like maybe this month is going to be a bit easier to get some sort of balance. So for the overview cards, we have the only major arcana card in the reading, which is number 20, which is Judgment. And then we also got a page card, which is the Page of Wands. So this is the first Wands card that we've gotten for this reading. So looking at these, Judgment is about maybe having an epiphany and being more spiritually aware or awakened. It's about reassessing where you've been and where you're going and how that fits into your new spiritual outlook on life. It's about reaping what you've sown. So what past actions have you done, and what is the consequence of that now? What's happening now in your life that was because of something that you've done in the past, mostly to do with your spiritual practice or your spiritual, the spiritual part of your life. It's really good for a life review, going back and doing that. So if you're feeling quite reflective, which is a great time. If you read my blog post the other day, you'll know that winter is the time for reflection. It is the time for going back over what has happened over the past year, or longer if you want, but past year, seeing what worked for you, what didn't work for you, and what changes you're going to need to make in the following year to move yourself forward in your journey. So this Judgment card's really saying, take advantage of winter. Use the time where we naturally want to hibernate, where we stay indoors more, where we self-reflect and we go within a bit more, we feel that we want to. and use that time to start reflecting on what has happened, and also to start thinking about what you would like to happen in the next year. The Page of Wands, he's always a good card to get. He usually means good news. He also stands for, he or she stands for opportunities coming about for you if you let people know what you desire. So the Page of Wands is a very good communicator. She's also about looking at life through the unjaded eyes of youth or childhood. So seeing life without any of the rose-colored glasses, or actually not rose-colored, that's the wrong word, without all the tints that we put on as we get older and we go through experiences that are not always beneficial for us. Although ultimately they are beneficial for us, but they sometimes give us jaded outlooks on life. This card is asking you to go back and look at life through the eyes of a child. Which is very good for the coming month. It's about communicating your desires, because if you don't communicate them, how can people know that they have an opportunity that you may want to partake in? So that's the overview. I think there's going to be a lot of reflection, a lot of thinking about your spiritual practice and how far you've come, but also starting to speak up and starting to speak your truth and let people know, this is what I want from my life. Do you want to collaborate? Do you have something that would benefit me? And vice versa. You know, there's always got to be that give and take within those type of situations. Okay, just before we move on to the details of this month, I just want to actually talk about the Page of Wands could also represent someone who is on their spiritual path, which would be very fitting of a card that goes with the Judgment card, because the Judgment card is about awakening. So I don't really like that word because it's been so overused by influencers. But it is about your spiritual awakening, your spiritual epiphanies, and these cards go really well together. So that even more puts a stress on the fact that this could be a very spiritual month for you. Next, we have the two detail cards. So this goes into the details of what we've just discussed in the overview layout or position. And we have a Six of Wands, which is our second Wands card. And then we have our first Swords card, which is the Six of Swords. So we've also got two sixes in there. Sixes are about family. So, and about the importance of family and surrounding yourself with the people that you love, amongst other things. And because this is not a numerology reading, I'm not going to go into that, but it's just quite funny that the next two positions, but both cards are the same number basically. So what do we have to say about the details? Okay, so the Six of Wands is a really positive card. It's saying you're gonna get what you want very shortly, if not already you've already got it. It's about having worked hard. It's about people starting to notice what you do. It's about receiving the accolades of your hard work through success. And it's about enjoying that time, basically. It's about being proud of yourself for how far you have actually come. And this could be with work, because I'm seeing the word work come up in my head. But it could also be something that's more inner. So you are patting yourself on the back saying, look how far I've come. I've actually got a spiritual practice this year. The Six of Swords is also, it's a very hopeful card. You usually get it when you're coming out of a bit of a difficult time. And it talks about, traditionally, the Six of Swords is a lady in a boat with a baby and a man rowing the boat away from wherever they've come from and going towards a better prospect of living, basically. So this Six of Swords is about coming out of difficult times. It's about discovering new things for you, discovering new ways of being, discovering who you are, and how that fits to how you're going to move on. So if you feel like something has come to an end, don't be afraid to let it go, because this card is saying that it's time to explore your options. It's time to get out there and discover what's really out there for you. We spend so much time in our little box thinking that that's it, that's all there is, and we need to actually step out of that box and see what is actually available to us. And sometimes I think this world as it is now is getting more closeted, but then I go outside and I see nature, and I know that there is so much more for us to explore, so much more for us to learn and to experience. And this card is really about, not being afraid to do that and actually being quite excited, especially because it's with the Six of Wands. So the Six of Wands is talking about success. So it could also be, okay, I've reached this milestone, so what am I going to do next? And these two cards go quite well together, because the Six of Wands is saying, here I am, I've made it. And the Six of Swords is saying, okay, you've made it. Let's stop. Let's rejoice in that, but then let's explore and discover and move on to something else that's going to benefit us and benefit our community around us. In the challenge section, we have two aces. Now, aces are symbolic of new beginnings, depending on what the suit is of the ace. We have got an Ace of Cups and an Ace of Swords. So there's your second sword. Okay, we're going to deal with the Ace of Cups first. The Ace of Cups is about new beginnings in relationships. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to move on from a relationship, although it can move on from a relationship. But it could mean that if you've been having problems in your relationship, there may be an epiphany by one or both of you in the relationship that actually leads to a greater love experience for you both. So a deeper connection, and that relationship will move to the next level. So it doesn't necessarily mean breakup. It also talks about self-love as well. So maybe you're finding that actually you're feeling pretty good about yourself, especially if you haven't felt good about yourself in the past. This card can say, okay, the challenge is for you to actually look at yourself with the eyes of an angel. Okay? So angels always see us for what we are, the best that we can be. They always see our light. And this card could be challenging you to look at yourself through the eyes of an angel. Look at yourself as if you are only light and not dark. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have a dark side. We do, a shadow side. But sometimes by focusing just on that shadow side, I feel like, well, I believe what we think about, we bring about. If you've spoken to me before, you've most probably heard me say that little phrase before. But I truly believe that what we do think about, we bring about. So if you're concentrating on your shadow side all the time and you're never bringing light into that process or into that work, then really you're just processing it over and over and over and over again. You need to also see your light. And that can be very hard for a lot of us because we've never really been taught to toot our own trumpet as such. So this is the time, this is the challenge for you this month, is seeing your own light. And I really feel like the more I talk about this, the more they're stressing this. So I feel like maybe this card is not so much about relationships, although it could be a subtle background thing that's happening this month, but I feel like it's more about the relationship that you have with yourself. The Ace of Swords swords are connected with the element air, which is all about intellect. It's about new ideas. And this card is challenging you to start living or start planning how you're going to live through the new concepts that you've discovered over the last six or 7 months. It's saying it's time to make a decision. How do you want to go forward? All the stuff that you've learned, all the things that you're doing, how do you want to take those things and move them forward in your life? So this is a real challenge, because we as humans are often very comfortable just doing what we already know. Even if it's not that great for us, we just would rather stay there. And this card is saying, now's the time to start planning your moves, to start thinking about the new concepts that you've learned and how you can integrate them into your life. It is really quite a successful card. It's quite an exciting card to get, because it shows me that we're going to be brimming with new ideas, new concepts, new ways of living. And the challenge is to not just think about them, but to actually put them into action, or plan to put them into action. The aces are usually not actually doing the action. They're just about the first form of a new concept or a new project. So they're about planning and thinking and daydreaming about what it could become. Lastly, we have what opportunities are available for us this month. And we have a 3 of Pentacles. And we have another sword, our third sword, the 8 of Swords. Okay, so I'm going to go with the 8 of Swords first, because if you look at this card, it looks pretty dire. You know, she's tied up, she's blindfolded, she's surrounded by all these swords. But actually, this card talks about feeling frustrated, feeling anxious, feeling trapped in your world or in a situation that you feel like there is no way out of. However, if you look at this card, you can see that she is bound quite loosely, that I'm sure if she just shook her shoulders, those ropes would fall to her feet. And if you look at the swords around her, they've got big gaps in between them. She could just walk through them. So she is not actually trapped at all. It's just an illusion. And it's an illusion that we often tell ourselves because we're too fearful to make the change. This is also about what I was just talking about, thinking what you think about is you bring about. So the more you think about what you don't want in your life or how you feel trapped, the more you're going to get the same situations. So you really need, your opportunities to really need to break that pattern, to make the changes, you know, didn't Gandhi say, I think it was Gandhi, please, I apologize if it wasn't Gandhi, but didn't he say something like, be the change you want to see in the world? Well, this card is talking about that, but maybe in a smaller concept. Be the change that you want to see in your world. And so whilst she looks like she's in a pretty dire situation, she's actually there because of her own making. She can release herself if she really wants to. So this is saying to you, you have this opportunity to release yourself from the situations that you think you are trapped in. That is just an illusion, and you need to see that if you change the way you think about this situation or the way you act within this situation, then actually you're not trapped at all. You have choices. We always have choices. Okay, so the 3 of Pentacles is a really quite a positive card. It talks about collaboration. What strengths of yours can be collaborated with someone else who has different strengths to yours, where when you join them together, you make one really good project or really one good person in there, you know, like, for example, if you're not very good at planning, getting together with someone who's really good at planning, who can help you plan, and then you can do all the things that you're good at. It's also about knowing your talents, not being afraid to express them or to show them. It's about being successful within your own right, and it's about teaching people the concept of being able to collaborate, but also to pass your knowledge on as well, so that others may learn from you and move forward with their journey as well. So that's another opportunity for you. So if you have someone who approaches you about something that you've been thinking about doing, you don't necessarily have to say yes straight away, but God, go and have a coffee with them and talk about it and see whether you resonate together and whether that would be a good idea. And the Three of Pentacles actually is talking about maybe more than one person. So maybe there's a group project that's going on that you would like to be a part of. So they're great opportunities for you. One's a bit harder than the other because sometimes it can be hard to see that we are the reason that we are trapped in the position that we are in. We always like to blame something externally from ourselves, and that's never usually the case. It's always usually something to do with what's going on within us that keeps us trapped. And then the other opportunity is to show your talent, to teach your talent, and to collaborate with others. So that's the main reading for the month of July. I think that's pretty positive reading, really. But then I'm into spiritual stuff. So, I think that's great that I'm going to get an epiphany and a bit more of an awakening. I love leveling up. And I hope that you're starting to learn that is a part of life, that we have to have a finger in each of our pies. So our physical, our spiritual, our mental, and our emotional health, to become fully balanced and to fully appreciate what it's like to be a spiritual being living in a human body. Because that's what we are. We're not this body. We're just borrowing it for a short time. Okay, so the last bit of the reading I'm going to pull a couple of cards from the Seed and Sickle Oracle deck by Fez Inkwright. It's a beautiful card. I think I've used it here a couple of times. But we're going to just talk about what do we need to know for July 2024 about our spiritual journey. And what do we need to know for July 2024 about our physical journey? Okay, so I'm going to read from the books for these because they're, even though they're not lengthy readings, I can't remember them all by hand. I don't use this deck enough. I should use it more actually because it's a beautiful deck. Okay, so for the spiritual journey, I'm using the wrong book. Okay, so for the spiritual journey, we got Oleander, number 32, with that big white snake. Ooh, I hate snakes. But Oleander, I'm sure it's pretty poisonous, isn't it? From memory. So what do we need to know about our spiritual journey in July 2024? And the Oleander stands for uncertainty and clouded decisions. So just reading from the guidebook, it says, Oleander may be beautiful, but its leaves are deathly dangerous and not to be underestimated. This card indicates a period of difficulty ahead. There may be time of uncertainty looming, or a relationship may encounter a rocky patch. The important thing is not to make any hasty decisions in the heat of the moment, no matter how the situation may seem on the surface. Consider every angle before deciding how to face it. Your emotions won't benefit you here. So to me, that's it's actually relating to what we were discussing before in the main reading. And as I said to you, I'm feeling like this is about a relationship with self. That's really coming through for me today. And yeah, when you have an epiphany, when you have a spiritual awakening, it is rough because you're like, well, I'm quite comfy where I am. Why do I need to move forward? But that's what we have to do. That's what we're here for. So this card is reiterating that, yeah, it might be a little bit rough, but don't do anything hasty. Don't throw all your crystals in the bin and go, this is a load of shit. I'm not doing this anymore. Just take some time out. Think about it. Think about the reality of the situation. What benefits will come to me if I do level up? What benefits will I miss out on if I stay where I am? So this card is really pertinent, and it can be confusing and it can be difficult to understand what you're going through, but just surrender. Okay, there's that word again. I'm sure I used that quite a bit last month, but just surrender. life is just about surrendering to the changes that are coming, because they're going to come whether you like it or not. So just surrender and enjoy the process if you can. Okay, so the card that I asked about our physical journey this month is number 23. It's Willow. And I'll just look at the guidebook. Okay, so Willow represents flexibility and adaptability. Ugh, having trouble with my words today. So from the guidebook, it says the willow tree is characterized by its thin, pliable branches, and it's time that you take a leaf out of its book. Learning to be more adaptable in your mindset is a valuable skill, and soon you're going to find yourself in a situation where you'll need to be more flexible. Try not to get too stuck on thoughts of how you've always done things or how things have always been. Embrace a new outlook and try things differently. You may be surprised by the results. And just firstly, I'm always surprised how these cards that I draw after the main reading are always pertinent. They're always reiterating what was said in that reading or adding a bit more information. And the Willow today is reminding you that change is inevitable. So get ready to be flexible and adaptable, which is really pertinent. It goes back to that Eight of Swords, where we are in an illusion that we're trapped and we're not actually trapped. So maybe we need to be a bit more flexible in that area, a bit more adaptable, and willing to see where we can go to bring on more of what we want. Because isn't that what we're ultimately here for? To be happy, to experience life and to be happy. Now, I know I'm not one of those airheads that thinks everything's all positive and rosy. I know that to experience happiness, you have to know what sadness is. Trust me, since October last year, I have understood exactly what great sadness is. But those moments of absolute happiness, they are so worth anything else that you go through. Just spending time with my niece the other day, she's just so gorgeous. And I was running her a bath and I was leaning on the edge of the bath. And when I turned around, she was in exactly the same pose as I was, watching the water fill up. And she just melts my heart. I just love her so much. She's just been such a joy and such a blessing to have at a time when really we've had a pretty crap time with Mum passing. So these two cards are reiterating what the main reading has said. Be ready to be confused, to be in situations that may be difficult for you. And as I said, I'm still getting that it's all about self-love. It's all about the relationship with yourself. And the Willow is saying, be adaptable, be flexible. Not everything has to be always the way that you've always done it, because we would still be pushing around, stone wheels and brandishing clubs if we didn't become adaptable, if we didn't move forward, if we didn't try new things. And that's what this Willow card is saying. It's saying, don't be frightened to branch out from your comfort zone. So that is it for this month. I hope you have enjoyed that reading. If you have any questions, or if you want to provide any feedback, or if you just want to tell me about the epiphany that you've had while you've been listening to this reading, I would love to hear it. I love getting feedback. It lets me know that I'm on the right path, providing you with these readings. And also, it lets me know that you people are actually getting benefit from it. And that's why I do this, because I want people to get benefit from it. I want people to understand that this is the way the world is going. We need to get our spirit on, because if you don't, you're going to be left behind with the Donald Trumps and Vladimir Putins of this world. You need to start picking up your spiritual practice. Anyway, I'm not going to rant. I'm not going to soapbox. That is for another day. But I hope you have enjoyed this reading. I hope you have a great July. If you really like this video, please follow me either on Facebook or YouTube. Like and subscribe on YouTube. If you press the little notification bell, it'll let you know when I've put a new video up, which there are not a lot. I know what it's like to be inundated with 15 videos a day from someone. I usually end up unfollowing them because it's just too much. But I will never do that to you. And as I said, if you have any questions, please don't be afraid to contact me through the comments pages or through my website contact page, which is www.amandaharwoodholistic.com. Okay, and that's where you can also read my blog. So if you want to catch up on what I posted the end of last week, I think it was part 1 of a 4-part series that I'm doing, which is all about living in the seasons, and this first post was about living in winter. So anyway, have a great July, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.